call the meeting to order. This is the regular council meeting Thursday, October 9th. All stand for the pledge and prayer. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father God, we come to you today grateful for everything that you have done for us and grateful that we can call you Lord. I ask you, Father, to watch over our city and watch over all of our citizens. Give us all a measure of wisdom tonight as we go to our meeting so that we do things decent and in order. And when we leave, I ask you to give traveling grace to everyone that is here. These things we pray in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Hey, Gerald, can we have a roll call, please?
Wells? Here.
Here.
Harris?
Here.
Scott? Here.
We do have a quorum. Do we have any public comments on the agenda? Any public comments on the agenda tonight? Okay. Next item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the September 25th, 2025 regular meeting. Council members, you guys have any changes or corrections, anything?
Yes. On the second page, where it says there being no further business to discuss, the meeting will adjourn by motion and second. Councilman Houston and Day respectively carry unanimously. The meeting was ended while Mr. Frank Williams was speaking about his sewer problem by his house. And after, while he was explaining, and I was ask him to, could you explain what his problem was? And I was saying, no, it was funny to him. And while he was explaining, you ended up saying that he called the street. And I was saying, allow him to speak. And you got upset and said, can I get a motion to adjourn? So we need to add how the meeting actually ended.
Okay, so I do agree that it does need to be changed how the meeting ended. It wasn't that I got upset, it was that you kept talking. And Mr. Williams was up here trying to talk and you kept disrupting. So I called for the meeting to be adjourned. So that's what happened.
You know what it was, Mr. Williams, I was trying to explain it. They kept asking, can you explain the problem? I said, no, let him explain.
Okay, and Mr. Williams and I were talking and you kept interrupting and that's how the meeting ended.
No, what ended up happening, you started talking, and then you called the wrong street. You said he's still on Jones Street. He said, no, it's Cobb. And I said, well, if you allow him to speak for himself, then that mistake wouldn't have happened. And then that's when you ended the meeting.
So we do agree that the minutes need to be changed on how it properly ended.
To reflect what actually happened.
Okay, so with that change, is there a motion to adopt these minutes with that change?
Motion to adopt with that change.
Sir.
Okay, I have a motion by Ms. Houston, second by Mr. Scott. All in favor, say aye.
No.
Any opposed?
Yes. And I oppose until the minutes are actually corrected and that statement's put in there what actually happened. On several occasions, we are proposed to approve and correct the minutes, and it's never corrected or reflected in the minutes that the correction has been made.
Okay, next item on the agenda is a water update. David Patterson from Patterson Professional Services is here.
No,
Yeah,
this
come on
fine.
up.
Oh, okay. As a lot of you know, the governor came out yesterday, toured the plant with a lot of city representatives and his staff and other elected politicians. I feel that it went very well. We showed him all the changes that we've made. We spoke with the filter people today, and we checked on the order of all the electrical things to get the service upgrade completed. I think that we're looking at the 17th of next month for H2O to come out and start the startup of the new filter box. We've been working pretty diligently to finish up a to-do list from the EPA inspection that we had, what was that, 6 weeks ago, somewhere in there. We've done that. We've got a lot of work coming up. I know that We changed several fire hydrants in the past couple weeks, and we've got a couple more to change. I think we did get a new shipment of 2-inch meters. We've been changing a lot of the bulk meters in town. So those should be here, I think, this evening. One of the big things the community is gonna see starting Monday through the end of the year is we're gonna start the lead and copper inventory for the federal lead and copper surveys of water systems. So I'm gonna have a crew driving around. I think we have to do 566 this year, where we go locate and identify the service line to the meter, and then the service line past the meter going to the house, and inventory it for the federal lead and copper regulations. It's a 5-year plan. We broke it up evenly between 5 years, and we're gonna do that. So you will see those little magnet on. They'll make a little hole, identify it, and we'll do the form and send it off to the proper authorities on that. So if you see those guys in town, that's what they're doing. And that's not all I have. That's all I have. I don't wanna ask.
Okay, and so the governor obviously did come yesterday. What his biggest thing was, what I got, the takeaway that I took from him was that, he wants to know what the long-term plan is gonna be, he wants to know now, and how much it's going to cost. So he came to put his eyes on everything to see what the state money is actually being spent on, but he was very vocal about what are the next steps, what's gonna happen, and how we're gonna go forward. Magnolia still has not given the final long-term plan. Obviously, as soon as we have that, we'll share that with everyone, but, it looks like we're all on the same page as, how is this gonna be? And I know some of the council members here, so they would like to share anything. Council, what's your hand up?
Well, my take on it is a little different. What I got from the meeting and the governor speaking is that the biggest concern right now is how can they access the USDA money? That's the biggest thing. And Mr. Passenger said something that raised my ear. He said that they're getting ready to do the lead line survey of the city's pipes. Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's a federal mandate. Every public water system in the United States has
That's
to
what I'm
do it.
getting at. As long as you may not remember, I asked previously, had the city started completing their survey for their lead lines? And you told me that Mr. Goods and some other city employees had already started that process. Because when's the deadline for having the lead line survey completed?
5 years.
No, it's a deadline that had to be submitted to the state.
Are you talking about the lead line survey or the lead
Yes,
copper
the
samples?
service. The lead copper service was submitted, but we did your inventory on it.
So you're probably mistaken, and you're probably thinking about the lead and copper samples that we have to take, and it's on a routine, and that had to have been done. That was required to be done last month, and that was done and completed.
No. What it was at LMA meeting, and every municipality had to inventory their lead line surveys and submit it to the state website. And most of the municipalities, I think it was a Lake Charles or somebody that went around, they used them as a pilot.
Yeah.
And they identified all the lead surveys, lead pipes that was in the entire municipality that had to be replaced. And what they were saying was, if you completed by a certain time, the federal government was gonna pay for it. And after that meeting, I'm about to find the emails, I said and asked Ms. Lewis that question. Because after that meeting, I asked, had we started completing our lead surveys? And you told me, inventory on our lead, you told me that Mr. Goods and some other water company employees had started the process of identifying all of the lead pipes that was in the town.
Right.
So he's saying that they're getting ready to do that. So we're gonna do it twice?
They have to finish what wasn't done. If I'm understanding correctly, you guys have to now do the ones that were, what's the word,
No, he said
hold
that.
on. Mr. Goods and some of the water workers have already started the process. I think they did like 200 and some odd inspections. If I'm understanding now, you guys are gonna, we have obviously more than
Yeah.
200 residents.
We're gonna complete it, and they've actually changed the rules a few times on it. No deadlines. I mean, the deadline is in 5 years, so no one's been required to meet any deadlines yet. We're just trying to stay and be proactive in it. So that's why we divided it up to 566 per year, but, and at first, to my understanding, in the very beginning, you could open a meter box and look at both sides, and that was acceptable, and then I'm not sure if it was changed, but I know that's what some people did, and that's not acceptable, I do
Yeah.
know that,
They
so you actually have to
go and
excavate
see- Yeah.
all the lines up, so.
That's totally not what was taking place. I think that stuff had to be completed. I'm gonna go back and check and see, by August or September, either 24 or 25. Because we was at the LNA meeting, we had a specific meeting when they talked about identifying those pipes. It was every state in the United States under President Biden started making sure that we identified lead pipes in all municipalities.
You don't have to identify lead pipes, you have to identify every pipe. And I can also tell you that if y'all did it with the staff you had, y'all would have never finished. It wasn't possible.
We did, they only did a certain amount.
So,
I know I hear it, I know I did. And I came back and asked, there's a time frame in which it had to be completed. And I think it may have been Lake Charles or someone was the pilot they used as the flagship for doing it. Because several municipalities complained about how tedious the process was. And so they started talking about how if you look at one of the most recent open buildings, businesses and homes, they were gonna have PVC pipe. So they said that they etched those recent buildings, construction projects out the way. And it was going back to the older ones that would possibly have lead pipes identified. So they were saying lead line survey, that was pushed by the federal government, and we had a time frame in which it was supposed to be completed.
So what we can do is give you the ones that were done, give you what the deadline was, I didn't think that you had to have all of them done by last year. I don't think that's correct, but what we can do is, I'll go back, get the, number from Mr. Goods, and, give you that deadline.
Okay, my next question to, Mr. Patterson. I know you guys' contract is up in February. The contract's up in February. So how much work are you guys gonna be able to complete when your contract ends in February? Because I know you all saying long term. And long term, according to the contract that has been signed under the emergency declaration, ends in February of 2026.
yes.
So there's no extension past February 26th that we know of. So how much work are you all going to be able to complete by the February 2026 deadline? Because I hope we're not talking about anything past that, because that's no longer under the auspices of the state.
We're gonna work up until our contract deadline as hard as we have been working, and if they choose to extend it, they choose to extend it. That's a question I can't answer, that's beyond
So
me.
who will that extension be made by?
I mean, that's something that the governor does with Magnolia, and then Magnolia would choose to keep this, or, you know, that's not in my power,
Government can't do that.
so.
Emergency declaration ends in a year. That's gonna come up on the auspices of the city council. So right now, how many level 3 or level 4 operators do y'all have at that water plant right now?
We have one that's there every day.
And who was that one?
Huh?
Who was that one?
His name's Anthony. I've got his last name on my phone, but we hired him, so he's been there every day.
Okay, because I know the law says we're supposed to have at least 3 or 4.
So for our water plant, my understanding is we have to have 2, because we run 24 hours, you should have one for 12-hour shift and another one for a 12-hour shift.
And that'd be a question for LDH, because LDH was there and they've been perfectly happy with everything we've done, so that, you know, you could take that question to LDH.
Yeah, and we also have Mr. Goods, who is still at the water plant, and there is a concession that if your water operator is within, I don't know, 15 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever the case may be. So that's how we were running before.
So right now, we only have one.
We have 2.
So Mr. Goods working 12 hours and the Anthony guy working 12 hours?
No. What shift is Mr. Anthony working?
He works every day during the day.
So he's working 24 hours a day?
No.
So is Mr. Goods working for the water company or the sewer?
Mr. Good works for the city in his role that he was in prior to us arriving.
Okay, so it's still at the water plant.
Is-
Mr. Goods is the utilities operator. He was over the water plant and the sewer plant. Anything else?
So that's why we're paying half of his money and Magnolia's paying that, is that transaction take place?
No,
So we're paying his full salary?
yes.
Okay.
Yes,
City
ma'am.
paying?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes,
So,
ma'am.
hold on, my last one
No,
is
it's
ago.
fine.
So, if he's working for the water company, then he shouldn't be on the city payroll. That, I could be wrong, because we no longer have control of the water facilities. So that means Magnolia should be paying for the water aspect. I could be wrong, because we no longer have any access to the water funds. So that means if we are paying him, we're paying someone who's not hired through the city if he's working at the water. But either he's gonna be with the sewer or he's gonna be with the water. You can say the city is operator, but we only are currently in, over one utility. That's sewer. So we can't pay him for doing something for the water company if we're not in control of our water funds. I could be wrong, I could be misspeaking. But if we have no access to water company funds, then how are we having a city employee working for Magnolia and being paid by the city? That's a legal question right there.
He's not working for Magnolia. Okay. Everything happened and it started, they're working under Mr. Good's license when this first started, okay? So now, because they had to bring on another level 3 operator, so now we have 2.
So, are we still operating under Mr. Good's license? We're not in compliance, because we no longer have control of the water company.
I think if you want to speak about compliance, that would be a question for LDH, because if they're unhappy, they're gonna bring that to us, we'll resolve it. But until they bring that to us, it's ultimately up to them. It's not up to.
It sounds like Councilman Wells has a legal question, and so if you would look into that, you can get a direct answer on that, so this question can be answered in a legal setting.
And then another thing that comes with this water, I'm hearing everybody saying that the state of Tallulah put $2 million, paid $2 million for the water work that's going on. How much money has the city contributed through our money that we're paying for monthly bills? Because we're not hearing anything, because they're operating the plant through the funds that we're paying for our fees and the water bills.
Right.
So when we're saying contributions have been made by everybody else, we're not saying how much money is actually coming in from the citizens that's going toward the maintenance of this plant. So when are we gonna find out how much is being, they're recouping from the citizens?
So all revenue being brought in from the water company is being used to run the water plant. That includes salaries, that includes chemicals, that includes everything. The money that is being put in to fix things at the water plant is being paid by GOSAP.
Now, let me ask my question again, maybe that's not my question.
And the bond? Only, yeah, and the bond debt.
Okay, my question again is, how much money is Magnolia taking in every month for water funds? Do we have any knowledge of that?
I can tell you right now, but if I'm understanding you correctly, you would like to know, Magnolia, what the revenue coming in every month, is that what you're asking? I don't have that answer right here, but we certainly can get it. The money doesn't go to journal,
They report nothing to us.
okay? But we have spoken with Magnolia, they do have to give us that revenue information, actually, we just talked about this probably last week, because the city still has to account for those funds. So we did have a conversation with Magnolia, and, that information needs to be given to Cindy and everything so that we can show how much that is. I don't have those numbers in front of me tonight, but we certainly can get it to
Okay.
Who is Cindy?
our CPA.
And see, my question, and the reason why I'm gonna leave it alone, but things bother me. Because what really gets me is the fact that those are things we've been talking about.
Okay, everybody, Councilman Wells is speaking.
See, that is my concern. Because when it comes to the city, we have a legal representative who's been in contact and constant communication, I don't say constant, has been in communication with Magnolia. And the question has been asked on several occasions, how much money has been taken in by Magnolia?
She know.
And
Hey, Magnolia answered that question at the town hall meeting that we had.
no, I'm
They
saying to
answered that
us.
question.
I'm talking to us.
You were there.
She also asked Magnolia, so we get a representative from Magnolia to come here, because I want to ask them a question about bills. We have individuals saying their bills have become astronomical from month to month. And we said we're gonna get someone from Magnolia to come and talk to us, and it hasn't happened yet.
Magnolia is not going to be able to answer any questions about bills in this meeting.
No, I'm not
They're
saying
not gonna
that.
have any information.
No, I'm not saying in this meeting, we talked about this for several months. And we said for several months, they couldn't come to one meeting because it was last minute. And so it's been months that has passed by, and we still haven't one from Magnolia to come. But we had a whole slew of people from Magnolia at the meeting with the governor yesterday. So how is that we can reach them for certain things? Who asked the governor to come here yesterday?
The governor was in Bastrop and he decided, since he was in the area.
I'm not to say thank you. I'm not to say you anybody.
I invited him.
I'm not to be wrong. I'm not to say.
Yes, sir.
I actually came for 3 things, but 2 of them were about the water, so and I picked up a 3rd thing from what you were saying. To go back to the first thing you were talking about you have to investigate all the lines, not just lead lines.
Yes, ma'am.
In 2012, we had Navy SEALs. We originally had a sump pump liner failure, and it developed into an investigation. And those Navy SEALs actually found hot spots. And because we're in an agrarian area, we have a lot of greenhouses that have genuine, pipes and whatnot. Like even at the old Tallulah High School, we have those pipes, and they're still there. They didn't pull them out. That wasn't their job description. But they actually made a map of where they found all these things. And that actually could be really useful to get y'all started going the right direction, because they actually did what you're suggesting, I believe, or they started it. And they actually would have like a lot of information that could be helpful for you to see over the past, dozen years if we've made some changes, because some of the houses have been destroyed from fires and whatnot. So there'll be additions, so you can see how the original planning, because we don't add that many houses to our, particularly we're a real small community, and we have shrunk from 50,000 to 5,000 people. So we already have an excess of houses, and then we've had a lot of arsons and problems. So those houses that have those old lead lines, like my grandmother's old house, she just had it re-piped into the house and left the lead lines underneath the house. And so it's still there specifically that would have the mercury, that would have the PVC, and they found a problem with the PVC that they used to have in the 80s and 90s, and I'm not a structural engineer, so I can't really talk efficiently about this.
Okay, we're gonna make sure that our comments are concise.
So they counter that issue with 2 things. They do the lead and copper sampling that they require us to send out and take the samples from the homes, and then they do the survey of the lines. So they do, both sides of it.
I just think you would be assisted if you went and pulled their old information, because they have made a map of it, and that could be really on point and help you target specific places even more efficiently and quickly, because they had done research about where the buildings were no longer standing, and that could be super useful and just make us get through this a lot easier and faster, and it would be easier on y'all. But their work is actually, it was in our courthouse, and it was bounced to the federal courthouse that I'm forgetting the name of in Mississippi. But I had another question.
Okay.
It's about water. I was gonna do 2. I had 2 questions about the water before that ever came up. Our water tower has damaged. Now, it was supposed to be removed completely, and we really need a new water tower. And I know everybody thinks it's fixed because it's painted, but the problem was never painting the water tower. The problem are the leaks. On our southwest corner, we had a sump. We didn't just have sump pump liner failure. We also used to have a Superfund waste dump that blew up in 2012.
Okay, ma'am, I'm gonna stop you there, okay, and allow Mr. Patterson, I think you guys did address the water tower, correct?
So we actually had U.S. Underwater go into the tower, do a cleaning. They sent a diver in, did a cleaning of the tower. They videoed the tower. The only deficiency they found was the hatch, I think, was damaged in some kind of a storm, and the hatch lid was broken. And within like 48 hours of discovering that, we had a tank repair company come in, climb the tank, cut the hatch off, and weld a new hatch on and repaint it.
Are you aware that they found that it was impregnated with that stolen uranium byproduct crap that blew up from our Superfund waste dump?
Okay.
I mean,
It has a high level of acidity. You have to do a specific expensive list, like $6,000,
Ma'am,
$16,000.
okay, so we've given you enough time if you wanna continue the conversation afterwards, but we're gonna move on. Ms. Jackson, did you have a question?
Yes, I want to ask about, and I apologize if I missed it because I was late. You all were talking about the lead in the pipes and, inspecting pipes, the underground pipes, is that what we were talking about?
We're
The
doing-
Inspection?
Federal government requires every public water system in the United States to do a survey of all the lines, the service lines to the meter and then to the house. So we're starting next week. We broke it up into a 5-year plan to be compliant with federal regulations. So we're doing 566 between now and December 31st, and then we'll start, after January 1st on the next 566. And basically we just go 3 foot in front of the meter and then 3 foot after the meter. And we take a hydro excavator, excavate down, find the line, identify the type and size, photograph it and catalog it, and then we'll send it into Magnolia, and they'll build a report and send it into the state, and then they'll forward it on to the EPA.
But the plan is, it's gonna take 5 years to actually,
Yeah,
inspect all of the.
They
lines.
divided the number of connections by 5 years, and that's just, the target goal is that it's 566 per year for 5 years to be compliant.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But you're not starting it until next week.
We're gonna start it on Monday.
Okay.
Well, you mean
And so,
No, we work Monday, so.
Wednesday?
We work 7 days a week.
okay, and so, you're gonna update as you find, like, when you do 566, you're gonna update, the city on that, or how?
We're gonna update Magnolia,
Okay.
because we're basically a third party, we're subbed by Magnolia. So we send all information to Magnolia, and then what Magnolia does is they fill out that report. I'm sure it will be in that report that they send in every week that Yvonne gets and then distributes amongst y'all.
And then, wait, one thing, I don't know if that would be part of it though. The money we taking, you said Magnolia did tell us at the meeting, did they put it on the website about how much money they're getting every month?
No, what they did was at that town hall meeting, they put what they had collected to date.
Oh, okay. And did they ever upload that to where we could get it?
We put that on our website.
So they should be on the city's website. Okay, and they're gonna notify you all at some point about what they're
Right, we
collecting on
spoke with them
regular?
last week because we have to know that, financial information. And so, yeah. Mr. Barber, yes, sir.
The lead line service that you're talking about,
Yes, sir.
that was a program initiated through the federal government, through the EPA, correct?
Yeah, they mandated it everywhere.
And Louisiana Department of Health and Hospitals, that report's supposed to be sent to the state, right?
Yeah, so what we do is, since we answer to LDH, we send it off to LDH, and then LDH will compile them amongst the state and then forward them on to the EPA. Because we ultimately, generally you only ever see the LDH or the state agency in whatever state you're in, and then you ultimately also answer to the EPA, but to filter it all out, what you do typically is you answer to the state and the state answers to them unless something catastrophic happens, and then you may see both parties, but it's very rare that you see both parties because they ultimately let the LDH, control it unless they deem it necessary to come out.
Right, and that program was called the lead line service inventory, correct?
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, like Coach Will, that was supposed to be completed by October 16th of 2024.
No. It's not supposed to be completed.
The lead, if you all find lead, then what's the process? What do you do?
So they haven't decided what they're doing the surveys, they're turning it in, and then they will take what their findings are and then basically let us know what is to be done.
And you said you turn the federal government?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the process y'all doing that and y'all run across, meters that are straight pipe that don't have meters, but service is there, then what's next?
If it's a straight pipe meter and there's no meter there, it's
Yeah.
gonna go away.
Okay, so y'all update all it.
Yeah, anytime we find, a straight pipe service, it's disconnected.
And also a service that's getting service but not receiving the bill, y'all will also correct that
Yes.
as well.
I got one question.
Need to help me up here, cause I got part of it down there by me. Big pipe,
Go ahead.
no new.
Now, you said it's 5-year plan, you all spent on
Now
that
pay
for 5 years. So if you guys are not, your contract is not extended in February, would another company be able to pick up where you guys left off and continue the process?
We will turn over everything to Magnolia, then Magnolia will turn it over to y'all, and then y'all would continue on with it.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson, we appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda, approval of a resolution to levy the ad valorem taxes authorized for tax year 2025 for the city of Tallulah, Louisiana. Bill, can you provide, can we have,
Close the whole backyard.
please, hold off on your private conversations? Gerald, can you give us some information on this resolution?
Okay, we have an assessment, property tax assessment every 4 years assessment. And the last one was a year ago, and on that basis, the next one will be on 2026. We have a total of 28.56 mills that we've had for the last several years, and that doesn't seem to be
Hold on just a second.
changed.
Mrs. Hayden, Mrs. Hayden, Mrs. Hayden,
Yes, ma'am.
can you guys, if you're gonna.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, can you please take
He
your
was
time?
giving me some information, thanks.
Thank you, ma'am, no worries, no worries. Go ahead, Gerald.
So, where was I? Anyway, we levy each year, and, like I say, this year, so far, we're gonna levy 28.56 million. That came about through voters, through the years, and, I think that most people should be grateful that we have such a low
Don't beat me, don't.
millage
Mr. Frank, you
assessment
need to be quiet.
each year.
Be quiet.
It starts off with 6.33 mils for general fund, 6.52 mils for general fund, 8.08 mils for general fund. The first 3 mils there are for general fund, and then the last one is 7.63 mils, and that's the street fund. We get a total from that 28.56 mils, that cash-wise that comes into the town each year, it would be $557,705.
And these
Are
are
there any
paid,
questions?
this is paid during property taxes, right?
Right, yeah.
So when will they'll start in probably the latter part of this month or first part of November? Whenever the notices go out.
In other words, this will start the process for us, and we should be given, consent, and all that will be sent to us, and it's usually in early December.
Question?
Hold on, just one second. Was there anything else, Gerald?
Anything anybody wants to know, any questions?
Mrs. Hayden has a question.
Okay, I have a question. You said the revenue is gonna come in $567,705. How will that money be dispersed? What funds would it be put into?
General fund gets 3. There's 3 categories of mill, I just read it. 6.33 for general fund, 6.520 for general fund, 8.08 for general fund, and then the remaining 7.6 mills would be for the street fund.
Okay,
So general fund gets most of this money.
can I get a copy of that? Because I recall, we passed a tax some years ago. That money supposed to have been distributed into 3 departments, which it wasn't, it was all put into general fund. That's why I'm asking you now
Yeah.
how, and have a copy of that, please.
I'll get one after.
Thank you, thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Is it on this, on property taxes? Okay, we're on property taxes right now. Okay, if there's no more, comments, may I have a motion to approve this resolution?
A motion that we approve the resolution.
Proper motion by Mrs. Day, is there a second? Second by Mr. Scott, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next item on the agenda is to reschedule the date of the public hearing for the ordinance to adopt the City of Tallulah municipal budgets for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2025, and ending June 30th, and that is a typo on the agenda, it should be 2026. So what we had on September 30th was a special meeting scheduled for the public hearing for our budget. As I've told you guys several times, we are late on our budget right now. It should have been done prior to June 30th. So we did not have a quorum at that meeting. I did check with LMA, the notification and everything for the introduction of the ordinance is fine. What we need to do now is reschedule the date for the public hearing. So what we need to do is, it'll go in the newspaper, if you all approve, set a date tonight, it'll go in the newspaper on the 16th, which is next week. Cannot be any prior before 10 days, so we could have a special meeting sometime the week of the 27th of October.
So we have to start this process all over again as far as the 7 days for public hearing. This is what gets me. You know, at the last council meeting, I asked the council several times, let's not have a special meeting, but wait till the next regular meeting. But I guess because our suggestion is, we're gonna do it because it's me. And had we went along and decided not to have a special meeting, but a regular meeting, we will be voting on our budget tonight. And you had individuals that voted for the special meeting that did not show up for it. My point again, like I said, with individuals that voted for the special meeting that did not show up for it. And had we just lit sometimes, I don't like going against the grain all the time. But I try to say some things is just common sense. If we know we're gonna have a regular meeting, because special meetings sometimes interfere with people and things. You have emergencies. Who's to say that you won't have another emergency where individuals can't make it? So have we listened and not say y'all side with Councilman Wales and just go ahead and say we wait till we have our regular meeting, which is tonight, we could be dealing with the budget tonight. Or that individual say, well, I want to just vote on, get done soon as possible. And then they're not here.
So you know, we had one individual who had an emergency, and we had two individuals who did not say why they were coming, did not say they were not going to be here.
I told you I wasn't on special meeting. So individuals said they were gonna be here 1 year.
So what we need to do, you all, I'd like to get this done as soon as possible. Okay, so we're looking at sometime during the week of October 27th.
You have to wait 10 days or something
So, 28th,
on the date of publication.
so we'll be published on the 16th, and we could have the meeting as soon as the 27th. So 27th or the 28th, that's a Monday or a Tuesday. 28th? Okay. All right, so we will set the public hearing for the municipal budgets for October the 28th. It will go in the newspaper next week, it'll be on our website, and we'll have the public hearing then for our budgets. All right, next item is update on ordinance 22-12-01, and that ordinance title is an ordinance adopting a plan of reapportionment for the city council of the city of Tallulah, Louisiana, based on the 2020 decennial census count. Attorney, you could bring us up to speed?
Is that the information you all gave at the last meeting, is that the same one?
The ordinance that,
With the map, the
yes,
ordinance?
yes,
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor. So, I sent a letter out to you and to the council members today that explains my advice relative to ordinance 22-1201 and the related matters regarding Kelly's Apartments. The first thing that I want to note is that the ordinance was never recorded. Failure to record an ordinance is a ministerial duty to record an ordinance. Failure to record it doesn't necessarily invalidate the ordinance. However, what this ordinance is trying to accomplish is invalid because if we're going to bring Kelly's Apartments into the boundaries of the city of Tallulah, you can't do it by adhering to census data. You've got to go through an annexation or an election process. And the failure to file a petition to do that on the front end, makes this ordinance fail to accomplish its goal. So while it's our recommendation that the ordinance be recorded, because it's required that you record ordinances, essentially the ordinance will fail to accomplish what it attempts to accomplish. Now, if the goal is for the city to bring Kelly's Apartments into its boundary, we're going to have to comply with Louisiana revised statute 33-172. Now, this echoes the advice that the city has previously been given on the subject on October 19, 2023 by David Doty, the prior city attorney, which outlines the annexation process. So the first thing the city is going to have to do is to have that particular area surveyed and described, which has already been done. So step one is taken care of. Then the city would have to identify property owners and voters listed in that area, and then a petition would have to be filed pursuant to LARS 33-172A1. Now, certainly, Ms. Hayden, it's Louisiana revised statute 33:172. Okay. Specifically, you'll need to look at provision A1. Okay. It's best to read the whole thing, but that's your target.
You have a copy of it?
I can email it to you after the meeting.
Yeah,
I got it electronically.
Please do.
I will. And, so what it will require is several things. And, I think I've heard several members of the council discuss this in the past, and the concern has been for the voters that are there and their desire to be a part of the city of Tallulah. And according to accomplish that goal, a majority of those registered voters will have to be a part of the petition. Will have to show that they actually want to vote in the city, and then beyond that, you have to show that a majority of the resident property owners in that area desire to be a part of the city of Tallulah. And even beyond that, the statute requires that property owners representing at least 25% of the assessed value of the area would like to be a part of the city of Tallulah. So it's not as simple as just adhering to the census data that was previously presented. If it were, it would be a lot easier for municipalities to accomplish this goal, but it's a very critical process that we have to follow. We've got to do this legislature step forward until they change those requirements. So if the city intends to do this, we need to do it correctly. One of the requirements is that the petition actually gets filed in advance of the first publication in the paper. And so that's another reason why the ordinance that passed previously would have failed.
Question. You said Kelly's Apartments. There are other areas in Tallulah that wants to vote like Watch Apartments. So would you have to do the same thing for them?
You would, and it would be best to do it all at once. Where we would have to be careful, Ms. Hayden, is, each one of those areas that we would seek to annex would have to be legally described and set forth with a list of the registered voters in that area, and we have to make sure that we had a majority in each spot. It would not be my advice to file a petition if you had some areas where you had all of that and other areas where you did not. So,
okay, the people in Watch Apartments, I do know they want to vote. I do know the people in Kelly's Apartment wants to vote. And you said they would have to sign what now?
we would have to have a petition that showed that a majority of the members actually wanted to be within the city of Tallulah.
Okay,
So
because
we have to certify that.
because it's not there, they don't pay property tax, and they live there. So, to me, I understand what you're saying legally wise, but to me, that's voter suppression, because these people are being denied to vote. They can vote for the parish, but not for the city. So the process is we need to start finding out how many want to vote, make sure the majority, with a petition, make sure the majority of them want to vote, and we go from there.
Is your point, is Hayden, the distinction between the voters and the property owners, is that your question?
Yeah, the property owner, if, for instance, I own property, and you rent from me. You pay me to rent, but I'm responsible for the taxes. So the problem was before with Kelly's apartment, because I talked with the man sometime ago, he's in Arkansas, if I'm not mistaken. He said that he did not want to pay property, he did not want to pay city taxes. And that's why, Kelly's apartment wasn't being, they weren't allowed to vote. So I think that's a disservice to our people, and like you said, we're gonna do it the legal way and the proper way. Because in what you're saying now, the ordinance that was done back then was not correct. So if that's the case, what about the other ordinances we passed, were they correct?
No.
And I'd have to specifically look at any of them.
Okay,
I mean,
but if one is not correct, that means the majority of them are not correct.
So can you, just elaborate a little bit more why this ordinance you feel is not correct? And then Councilman Wells, I did see your hand, so.
So there were some positive aspects of this ordinance. The way that it was styled, the federal regulations and data that it referenced, those were correct. The problem is that the map that this ordinance referenced to base its information, that Kelly's Apartments was part of the boundaries of the city of Tallulah, with the census data map. And that's not an accurate reflection of the boundaries of the city of Tallulah. You cannot acquire property within the city that way. So according to our city surveyor, Kelly's Apartments is not within the boundaries of the city. And the only way to bring them into the boundaries of the city is through the annexation process.
I have a question. So if these, I'm sorry, go ahead, sir.
This is my point of contention with that, is the fact that when the ordinance was adopted, right, there was a map with a legal description that accompanied that ordinance.
We did have a legal description. That was a map done by North Delta with census information. It didn't have the same survey information that Mr. Messenger would have done. That doesn't have the legal descriptions and all that.
Anytime you do a map that's dealing with reapportionment, there has to be some type of legal description that signifies those areas, because it's gonna show that there are population changes that has taken place. So to say it did not have a description on it, I disagree with that. So I know that there had to be a legal description for each area that's within that municipality.
Councilman Wells, I want to just,
Okay,
to your
who
point,
was attorney during that time?
Councilman Wells, to
It
your
was
point,
David Dowdy was the attorney.
Hold on just a second.
to your point, Councilman Wells, I just want to make sure that you didn't misunderstand me. I never said that the ordinance failed for lack of having a legal description. I said that it failed because it utilized a census data map as opposed to having a properly described annexed boundary of the city of Tallulah included in it. That ordinance has to follow that petition.
Come back to this. I understand what you're saying. However, if there was a map with legal descriptions that the city of Tallulah and its council voted on, they voted on it. So there was no, you saying there was no legal description that included Kelly's Apartments in those maps?
You misstate my point,
I'm asking a
Councilman
question.
Wells. I understand, and I wanna make sure and clarify. The reason that the, ordinance fails to, accomplish its goal is because it relies on a census data map to state that this property is in the city of Tallulah. You can't declare it that way. I can give you the legal description to my home, and you could add it to the city of Tallulah's boundaries by that same logic. That's not what the statute requires. The statute requires a petition and a majority of the voters, of the property owners, and beyond that, and the statute is, it's egregious, and I understand that, it's a very hard standard to follow, 25% of the actual assessed value as well. There is another method, and that's by the election process, but all of that is tracked in that statute that I referred to for everybody.
Okay, now, can I come back to my question again? Who was the attorney when all of this ordinance and everything was drawn up? Who's the attorney? Mr. Dowdy. So if Mr. Dowdy was the city attorney, and all of this was brought before him as the city attorney, and he did not advise the council on that information not being correct, then he owes us some money. Because there's no way he sat in that seat over there in an ordinance that he's supposed, he wrote the ordinance then. If the attorney didn't write the ordinance, did the ordinance? Can't remember. Ms. Odom, you write it? Who wrote the ordinance?
The attorney at that time.
Okay, so if Mr. Dowdy, the attorney, wrote the ordinance, then you come back and say that Mr. Dowdy is correct in saying that you gotta go through annexation, then no, he made a fool out of the city.
It's not on him.
Because if your attorney wrote something that's not legally correct, then he bought this bar. He should return back us our money. So you cannot say, write an ordinance to include something in there, then come back later on and say, well, this is not part of the city. He signed off on all that.
He actually, brought it to your attention. That
After it was brought up by a citizen.
by letter in, October 19th, 2023. As to the ordinance, Council Wells, I think what you're referring to is malpractice. Now, I won't make an opinion on that about your prior city attorney, but I will tell you that the prescriptive period for that in Louisiana is 3 years.
Okay, I come back to this again. This is the letter that Mr. Dowdy wrote in August of 2023. Mr. Dowdy was the attorney for the city when this ordinance was written. According to you all, Mr. Dowdy wrote the ordinance.
I didn't say that.
No, I'm saying according to, he's the city attorney. And if he wrote the ordinance.
I haven't written a single ordinance for you. I just wanna make sure and put that on record. I have not written any ordinance in city.
I understand. So, and Mr. Odom said he didn't write it, so we didn't write it.
It was the attorney, the city attorney.
Okay, so we have a city attorney who wrote an ordinance, I'm assuming, back in November 29, 2021, when it was introduced. Then he comes back 2 years later, in August of 2023, said these places need to be included in this because they wasn't in this, it was in the census map of 90 city boundaries. So if he was here when the reapportionment map was being drawn up, according to the city of census count, that means he's at fault. And the city council took his advice and passed an ordinance and adopted it, and made it a legal action. Maybe I'm not getting it. Ms. Day, you was on the council, Mr. Scott, y'all was on the council. Can you all tell us what went on? You all pretty quiet, y'all was there.
I think we all know what happened.
Okay, so somebody give us, I want to hear something, figure out what's going on. According to this paper, it says, Mr. Scott voted yea, and Ms. Day voted yea. So can you all talk about why you all voted yea on that? Is it wrong?
I think,
To the advice of the attorney?
I think at this point, what we're going to do going forward is probably more important than what happened in the past. So why don't we go ahead and start looking at that?
Because of the fact that you all are saying this order is not valid, we have 2 council members that was on the council during that time. Can they tell us and the citizens why they voted on ordinance now that you all are saying was not done properly?
I imagine the answer is
Can they?
advice. She just said that,
What was it?
that she was going on the advice of the attorney.
I got one more statement. Okay. Like the people over in Whitechurch, I mean not White, but on Chicago Street in that area, they vote in the city election.
That's right.
But they don't pay city taxes.
Correct.
So I think that needs to be addressed too.
Because that was my question, if the individuals, if the folks in Kelly's apartments did somehow become eligible for program, but the property owner isn't paying. Excuse me, Mr. Williams, you've already been asked once to please be quiet, sir.
It wasn't even.
Please, sir, okay?
It wasn't.
Okay, I wasn't having. So, everybody, what we're trying to do is allow one person to speak at a time, okay? That's all we're trying to do. Okay? My question that I posed earlier is, if the individuals in Kelly's apartments are allowed to vote or whatever, but the property owner isn't paying city taxes, it goes to the same thing. So that's just my confusion on me. Hold on just one second. Ms. Jackson?
A couple questions. Now, when I lived on Chicago Street, we moved in '03. We never voted in the city. When did Chicago Street start voting?
96.
It was authorized.
No, but I'm telling you, I lived there, I grew up there until I was 32. And we go in there and we were blocked from voting in the city election. So now, I don't know when that started.
8 years ago.
Was it 2022?
Mr. Davis started it.
Yeah, I'm the one that started it.
Okay.
In 2022.
Okay, that's why I was trying to clarify that, because I grew up there, so I know we never voted there. The other thing was, it took me a minute, I understand how a lot of people are gonna be confused, because I am an attorney, and it took me a minute once I went home after the last meeting and looked at what y'all gave me. And it is, and I immediately said it was illegal for the census to pull somebody into the city of boundaries. So the census just cannot do that, you all. It's nothing, I'm thinking about intended, well, I won't say what the intent was, but I don't think it was any really maliciousness there. I think some kind of way the census decided Kelly's or somebody was in the boundaries, but the census just can't do that. I don't know how they did that, but the census can't do it. You gotta annex it. I haven't read that statute lately, but it's a whole process to do that. So Chicago Street, if it has not been annexed in there since I know it hasn't, because we still own property over there. They should not be voting in the city elections. And we don't pay property taxes. Again, I still have property over there, and I don't pay city taxes over there. So again, you gotta go through a whole process. The census cannot, and that's not siding with anybody, that's just legal. The census cannot just put people into the boundary. And that's just the way it goes.
Hold on just one second.
So question is, if that
Go ahead and
is,
stand up so everybody can. Yes, ma'am.
question is, if that is incorrect, how many ordinances are incorrect and illegal?
That's what I just said.
And not only-
So how many we gonna go through to start the process to get all of them together?
I've got a question.
Hold on just one second, okay? We're gonna deal with this issue tonight, okay? I understand what you're saying, but tonight we're gonna deal with this issue. Yes, sir.
My question is, when the folks came in and did the census, did they have a map when they canvassed the area?
Yes.
So if they had a map when they canvassed the area, where did they get the map from?
I was not involved in that process, so I couldn't answer that question.
So they had to get a map from someone in the city government or in the parish government. So in order to go to different areas, they had to have a map to show what was around the city. They just can't pull it out of the sky and say, I'm just gonna go over here and say, this is in the city of Tallulah. So they had to have a map of every voting district in the city. They had to. It has to be
They
something.
probably got it from the state.
Yeah, exactly. Which means that's what I'm getting at. It had to come from some official government entity. Because they can't put, because the census is a federal organization. It's a federal activity. So for them to go around and say that this is there, they had to have a map. They didn't pull Kelly's out of the sky and say it should be in the city of Tallulah. So you all can say all y'all want to say, but the bottom line is, it's some foolishness going on. That we don't want certain folks to vote in certain districts.
There is
So
nobody
this is what I'm saying. Because of the fact, okay, all right, let me finish what I'm saying. Let me finish what I'm saying. I'm gonna show you. Because the census is a federal count of the population, which means they have to have a map to target every area. They pull in their maps either from a federal site or a state site. And it's identifying areas. It's identifying places in the municipalities. Okay, this area is supposed to be part of District 1, District 2, District 3, District 4, and District 5.
That's how they tell you of a deviation in the number of people in each district. So they gotta have a map to go there. And the map has to have legal descriptions to coincide with where they're going. It has to be a boundary for each district in the city. So you can't say that they just put something in there that's not there. Because they gotta know what a District 1 begins and ends. They gotta know what District 2 begins and ends. That's how we know when they go to knock on doors to get votes.
Next question.
So come on, y'all just can't tell me on anything and expect me to go along with it. Because common sense tell me they gotta get a map from somewhere. And they did. That's how message them said this portion is not in this district. We have a deviation of 2.2%, 2.5, which means you lost somebody. We gotta bring these folks to this district to bring the population equal. They gotta have a map to do that.
So next
Then I'll come
question,
back to you, Ms. Jackson.
if they would've got filed, would they have caught it at the courthouse?
No.
So it would've just went through, and the process would've started, and they would've determined
Is the
from
question
it.
directed to me or to Councilman Ross?
Someone, I don't know
Anybody
who
else?
now.
I'll let you
particular person.
decide
So
who you'd like to
I think even if it hadn't been filed, and I'm just, you can please correct me, even if it hadn't been filed, there would still have been some sort of annexation.
No.
So, it's still my recommendation that the ordinance get filed, because you're required to file ordinances, okay? The ordinance does not accomplish what it meant to accomplish. That doesn't change the fact that it should be filed, because it was published and it was passed by this council, and when you do that, ordinances are required to be filed. It's a ministerial duty, okay? It's not a discretionary one. That said, to your point, it is not the responsibility of the clerk of court to verify the accuracy or the correctness of any pleading that's filed. So I just wanna make sure that you aren't confused that someone at the courthouse is checking behind the city or anyone else who's filing matters. Okay?
Mr. Bagley?
Yes, excuse my seat. How many elections have y'all had since 2005 when Mr. Messenger gave you your boundary? How many elections have you had? How many elections? And everyone was based on the census and not on Mr. Messenger's map. What you all are doing is destroying 60 years of hard work, fight, and struggle. But when I went over to the courthouse today and they told Mr. Bagley, you are legally able to vote. Miss Marion Hopkins told me, because there was a file up back in the 90s concerning the city boundaries. I was authorized, and my card said for years, I'm like you, I could only run for school board or either run for police jury. When we filed against that complaint, it came back from the courthouse. Mayor Hopkins met me and I said, Mr. Bagley, you all were right and you will be able to vote in the election. That's why I chose to run. Annexation has nothing to do with voting rights. Remember, the 1965 voting rights says you cannot deny nobody the opportunity to vote, and renters don't pay taxes. Only the landowners. If that's the case, everybody in it would be paying taxes. But we don't. Because you don't pay taxes in the area, don't mean that you're not in the city. And some of these places in Tallulah have one part in the city, one part in the parish. One side of the streets in the parish, one part in the... And that's because all the planning was doing to make certain people not be able to vote or run in certain elections. It's been the game y'all been playing for years.
Okay,
And
who is y'all?
no, I'm saying y'all because when I can say y'all because I'm not calling their name. When I started running and doing my research, we found out if you came down forward as on Chicago Street across from Mrs. Jackson's place, it stopped right there.
It stopped right
Okay.
there, that's what it said, right there.
Right there, and from that point on out. But the problem was, at that time, Mr. Theodore Lindsay was running against another person. Y'all could not sell liquor anymore in the city limits. So they made a deal to bring the line right there so you could sell liquor beyond that line. It was all about politics, and you're politicking now. You're denying these folks the opportunity to use their voting rights, which is by federal law. It's against the law. And you all, this council's gonna be guilty of voter suppression, because the fact of it is, you all know that y'all voted every year based on the census. Never do y'all talk about annexation. Never. And I've been in 4 or 5 elections. It's up, and in your ordinance, it says based on the central census count. Nothing about annexation. What did it say? It means you get your federal money from your schools, federal monies, deal with your money, and nothing to do with property taxes. Why would we sit here, and excuse me, getting excited, why would we sit here as people of color, fight all these years for voting rights, and then deny these folks based on the technicality where they can't vote? Something is badly wrong with us. We need, and like I said before, I say the people, because I ran into the same problem every year that I ran, until I went and filed with the National Board Registration Association a complaint. That year, Mr. Scott knows, we got a flip-flop between District 1 and District 2, District 3 and District 4. Got all filed up. I'm the one that filed the charges, along with Mr. Otis Hall. It came back, you all are legally in the city limits ever since the 90s. Wow. Because nobody checked and balanced. We go along to get along. That's why we're messed up. Now, council, beloveds, you do what you want to do. But you are denying people the right that was given them in 1965 to vote or make choices. Now, if you want to be guilty of that, go right ahead. But remember, you got to stick with the choices you make. And what y'all are doing is doing the very thing we fought, hung, died, bled for the right to vote. And you denying these folks the same opportunity. All you had to do was file that paperwork, as the order said, then upload it, because how did Mary Hopkins get a copy? Well, I gave her the vote. She got it from the Secretary of State. I didn't give it to her. I didn't make that up. She got the right one. And that's when they put me on, and my card says District 4, City Council, 7 for School Board, etc. I didn't write that card. It came from the Secretary of State. Now you're going to take that federal government and the state know more about, you know more about this than the federal and the state? No. I got to go and like what's going to happen. Mr. Messenger, I've been wrapping up there.
Anybody is trying to suppress anybody's vote. I think
That's what you're doing.
Okay, that's your opinion, and I respect your opinion. What I'm saying is, I think this is an opportunity for us to get it right.
Get it right, file it.
It came
vote.
from, excuse me, the maps came from the city of Tallulah. They came from the city of Tallulah. There were 2 maps put together, map 1, map 2.
No, ma'am.
Yes.
Hold on.
And you
hold
wrote
on.
on one with your writing. I had
Just
it
one
back.
second, Mrs. Hayden. Those maps came from North Delta,
Correct.
okay? You said the city of Tallulah. That's
They came from North Delta, but the city of Tallulah had North Delta. Am I correct?
Approved.
The city of Tallulah had to hire them in order for us to receive the maps.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're talking about the census and voting and the map. Okay, in 2018, when I ran for District 2, you know, the code was in District 2. In 2022, when I ran for District 2, the code had been changed, you know. We're talking about the map.
Ms. Jackson, then I'll let you know. I think, folks, we're all on the same wavelength, okay? We need to get it right. There's obviously something wrong, and we need to get it right. And I think this is probably an opportunity where we can all work together to get this right. You know, this was done when in 2021. Is that? So there is no progress going to be made by going backwards over what was done wrong. Let's hold on just 1 second. Let's fix it. Okay, if it's wrong, let's fix it.
To determine though, exactly what it is, you're gonna have to go back to wherever Tallulah, because there seems to be a whole lot of confusion, which I had no clue is going on about the boundaries. You're gonna have to go back to wherever Tallulah was incorporated, whatever boundaries were done there, and come forward and find out if something was annexed, if it was already in there originally. It's gonna take some research to do it, but that's what's gonna have to be done to figure that out. And because I know you all are wanting to say about the census, and I'm for voting. When we turned 18, our parents took us to register, and I've never missed a day in voting in my life. And so I'm for voting, and I don't mess with that. But the law is the law, and a census just cannot bring people legally into the boundaries. I don't know how that was done. Like I said, I read that after the last meeting, because I just didn't understand what you all were talking about. I came to the conclusion immediately. The district can't just pull people into the boundaries. Now, where those maps came from, I don't know how that was established. And maybe if you go back and find an annexation that was done that pulled them in, then you'll see where it happened. But somebody's gonna have to go back and do that research to find out what was originally in the boundaries, if something was annexed. But I'm telling you legally, and that's not suppressing the vote, a census just can't bring people into the city. The census can't do that. It's got to be annexed. Thank you.
Mr. Willard, Mr. Wells, have the last comment on
This
this.
is the thing, okay? The reason why the lines constantly change is that we try to draw, that's why I changed on that one time. They draw the lines. It's not gonna ever get better until we stop playing funny games of politics. So what happens is when we come and draw the lines for voting, we'll look at, I don't want this person in this district to run against me. Right. So who's the map maker, the demographer for the city of Tallulah? Who we hire to do all our maps?
The Democrat, North Delta.
North Delta. Okay, so when Ms. Hayes said the map came from North Delta was hired by the city of Tallulah, which means that's the city of Tallulah map. So when they take that map out, and the individual that's doing the survey for the census, no, the census cannot just pull things in there. But the census takes what's already there in order to target a population and to target a people. So like I said earlier, they got the map that was uploaded by the city to the state to the federal government.
Correct.
That's the process. And I told Ms. Odom last year, we have several deadlines that when there's any kind of changes have to be implemented by a certain time frame. And we never did those deadlines, never, since I've been on the council.
I don't ever remember them being done either.
Right. And you've been part of the administration, and they're supposed to happen. So if there's never done this, a failure on us as a city, government.
And I think we've established that it's wrong, and it needs to be fixed.
I can never finish.
I know, because there is
You don't
no.
keep being interrupted, but you do it all the time. So you gotta stop doing that.
Go ahead.
So now, what has to happen, there's a time frame in which everything's supposed to be filed. And if I'm not mistaken, Ms. Lewis, you told the man to do the math. You asked him, would he file the paperwork?
No, I didn't ask anybody to do anything.
Yes, ma'am.
There was an elected mayor at that time. So if
Yes.
anybody
He said
asked
see, but
anybody,
you told him. But
now you're interrupting me.
No, I was talking.
And ask me.
Wait a minute, I didn't ask you nothing.
Go ahead, 'cause we already know.
What I said was, when that happened, when he brought the maps and everything to us, he said we had to get everything in by January, that's the first initial deadline. So he said, you asked him, well, Mr. K, is it a message you asked him, can you,
Doug Mitchell.
You asked Mr. Mitchell, you
No,
said.
sir, no, because I don't even know anything about this, so why would I ask him to do
When
it?
he
I'm not
present-
even familiar with the process.
Okay, let me finish. When he presented that information, you were sitting back there with that lady right there, said, I'm one to the side. You said, can you file that for us? Right. Because we have a time frame. And the next time we talked to him, he made a statement here after he told him. He came back there and said, he ended up faxing it, right? Into his office sitting here. He said he ended up faxing it and don't know what happened after then. And I ended up telling him, well, according to the law, you're not the one that's supposed to file the paperwork, right? It was supposed to come from the city. So what happens if Mr. Odom or the city does not file the proper documentation, nothing ever changes. And we stopped, Ms. Mary Hopkins said, we stopped filing ordinances in this courthouse years ago. Which means if we don't file in the courthouse, there's no documentation. She told me that, because I called and asked. She said the city stopped several years ago filing ordinances in the courthouse. And so said they have no record of it. So if we don't keep it up in the courthouse, we don't keep it up here, we don't have a record of nothing. So we'll never be able to pull ordinances when there was amendments made, annexations, or anything, because they haven't been filed. And I'm quite sure Mr. Odom can't find it. So if there's been no changes since 1996 to our maps that have been filed in the courts, it will never change. And I hate to say it, but I think some of that is done intentionally. It is. Because if I don't want something to change, if I don't file it, I was told without proper documentation, nothing ever happens. So if it's never wrote down, it's never filed, we'll never get changes. Never.
I have one statement when we get through.
Well,
And that's what
we're
happened.
going to stop this here,
Yeah.
because we've had enough discussion on it. I will tell you, I do not remember telling him to file anything, okay? So, let's get, okay, we don't need the smart remarks. I'll
No, I mean,
let you
I
say
make-
what
I
you,
make a bold
say what you
statement. I said you
said,
never do.
okay? So, that is that right there. So, folks, it is a smart remark,
No, it's a
okay?
comment.
Thank you.
It's a comment to you.
Okay, all right. Thank you, ma'am. So, the attorney has given us, her recommendations on the next steps. If I'm understanding you correctly, you want us to file the ordinance.
Yes.
Okay, and then you
Even
will,
though it's invalid.
okay, and then you will,
It doesn't
hold
matter.
on just one
Well, the
second.
ordinance fails to accomplish what it needs to.
Hold on
For the
just
reasons
one second.
discussed.
Okay. Okay, the question is, from Mr. Wells, if it's invalid, why are we filing?
It's a ministerial duty of the clerk. After you vote on it and it's passed, it has to be filed, what the statute requires.
So
And I
if
think-
if an
hold on
ordinance
just one
passed and
second,
wasn't
sir.
filed, what's
Hold
the
on
penalty
one
for that?
second, sir. I think at the last meeting, what I said was, we were going to see what the attorney said about filing it, okay? So, is it your recommendation that we file this?
Yes.
Now, let me ask you this, if we file this, do we still have a path forward to clear this mess up, to fix
Absolutely.
this?
It doesn't preclude you from petitioning and going through the proper procedure.
I have a question now. Failure to file an ordinance that might have been properly passed by the council, is there a penalty?
There can be.
What is it?
I'll have to give you some
Okay,
research.
ain't that something?
Council, I'm not gonna go fast and loose with your questions for political purposes.
There's a penalty for filing. You know, instead of filing.
So what we're going to do is file the ordinance tomorrow and then wait for the attorney to advise us on the next step.
Yes.
And actually, have the attorney also look up the penalties for failing to file the ordinance when it was passed.
I'll do that. Sure.
And then we take that action as well.
Okay, next item on the agenda is public comments. Okay, yes, ma'am.
I have to say, before somebody is recognized, all noise must cease before somebody is properly recognized when you have two or three people wanting to speak at the same time. So the public cannot hear every individual here to say that you are being heard so that they would not talk out of turn. And then everybody would not be able to hear every comment because the audience is supposed to be silent while people are speaking, so there would be no misunderstanding about who is speaking, what they are saying, and what their comment is, and who is the one that they are speaking to individually about a certain instance. So I misunderstood something about who was not recognized from the floor, called on individual to make comments about such said misunderstandings, grievances, or whatever else. Because I heard mumbling to my left and mumbling to my right. So I came in late. So I'm trying to figure out what's happening in the mayor's office about that last little deal that I was privileged to be able to halfway understand what the comments left and right before somebody was recognized from the floor.
Absolutely, yes, ma'am. So we can give you an update after the meeting is over. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. Where are we on getting a group of council members together to go have a meeting with the people that received the 20 million for our bureaucracy? Since we're supposed to have that money for our water, and we're gonna run out
So
of
I'm
time.
gonna stop you right there because I did ask you to come and see me about that, okay? And you were unable to come.
I had a
So
surgery
I
on Monday,
understand,
so I
completely
couldn't.
understood. So if you could come, I can get the information and we can go, from there, okay?
Okay, because-
Mr. Bagley, sir?
Yes, I have my comment, based on, the last election. What map did y'all use to run for the district that you was in? What map did you use, and why did you not talk about that? Because in District 1 and District 2 had a problem. 3 and 4 had a problem. It was all because they couldn't get it together. So what map, or what degree did you use to determine who was in the right district or not in the right district? Because that was my complaint was with the reservoir voters, why they kept flip-flopping folks back and forth during the election, which means y'all don't care about no annexation. He was trying to keep certain people out because Mr. C.J. Onen, who ran for police service, ran against me in District 4, they put them in District 5 this next time around. So for purpose of annexation, they move them around. Y'all move walk around people like checkers to determine who gets where and what. So that is real dangerous because, like I said, check it out. Everybody got moved around and they got put back after the election. That's why we filed my complaint. I got all the documents, trust me. I got all of them.
Thank you so much, sir. Are there any last public comments? Yes, ma'am.
I have a couple.
Yes, ma'am.
This is for each individual council member. Do y'all live in the city of Tallulah, and everything that y'all go against, do it affect you personally? Because when I look at it, each meeting y'all have, the way y'all vote, I don't think y'all live here. And I want to know personally, if you live here and are you affected? We give money to people that does nothing, and we say we're broke. I say we because I was born and raised here. Why is it so easy to give up something that you need here? You pay a lawyer that does not research anything. But when your council person research it and bring it to you, it's quickly a hurry up. It's always a vote down. So all the people are affected. They talk outside because when they come here, you got somebody that you want to throw out. Get them out of here, or you don't want to listen to them. So that question is individually. Are you guys affected? Because if you are, then the next question is, what are your future for your children and grandchildren in Tallulah? Because if we give it all away, it's nothing. So I want to answer because that's something that's real puzzling.
So you posing that question to the council members?
Oh yeah, everybody. You included, because you know I'm just tripping because I'm like, I can't believe this.
Yes, ma'am. Understood. So this is public comments right now. Okay. If you have questions that you would like to ask individually,
I don't want it individual. I want it
hold on
collective.
just 1 second, okay? Because right now you're talking under public comments. This is not a question and answer time. This is public comments. Okay. So everybody here does live in the city of Tallulah, council members. Okay. They vote. I can't tell you why they vote the way they vote. You would have to ask them that individually. Now, you said, I'm sorry, I think you said you had 2 comments. Was there another comment?
Oh, I just gave them all to you. I was actually out of questions, but I wanted it, I want to know, because what I'm saying is, it's simple. If everything that y'all go through and y'all struggle, when I came here, I didn't come here and file a complaint. All 3 of my babies have sensitive skin. They're grown now. But we was affected. So I didn't come back here and act crazy because their skin was messed up. I was like, oh, they're going to get it right. So we've been following these. And we still going, but when we talk about it, it's like, do they even want anything in Tallulah? Why y'all giving somebody money and not doing it? Why they don't say nothing? So it's just like, why we giving out so much, but we're not receiving anything? And that make me think that nobody on the council live here. Because that is decisions that people make that come from another state or they come from another town and they sit on a board and that's how they vote because they're not affected. For people that sit on this board that's affected by this, y'all do not vote like that. Everybody should, in their packet, take a little time, research this stuff. It's no way that somebody will come up to that mic and ask y'all something and y'all can't answer. It's no way y'all got millions of dollars going to somebody, and if somebody come up here and ask you what's going on with the water money and you can't voice that, I find that very odd. It's either somebody paying you not to open your mouth or you're not affected for real. I live in Mobile, Alabama, and we're growing because the people on the council there listens to the people in their district. I don't know nothing about none of them there. And when they come knocking, talking about, can they talk to me? I be looking just as stupid. What you want to talk about? Well, we have this going on, and this is what we're presenting, And we need to know what you feel. And this is what I asked them. How does it affect me and my family? Well, it affects you because money come into the school district where your kids and grandkids will go to school. Everything that we do, we have a water issue down at malls. Well, we need to know, what you feel about this. So, I mean, it's simple. These people is coming out to hear what we say to go back and vote correct. So that's why money continue to come in. Businesses come in. I mean, in the past 16 years that I've been gone, I mean, that place has grown tremendously. I went there and it was zero congestion. Now it'll take you 30, 40 minutes to get home because it has grown so. So that's what I want to know. What are we doing as a whole? I know what we see. But I want to know if y'all willing to work together. Y'all got to come together and do things. You got to research this stuff yourself. Stop giving out the money in order to get revenue here.
Okay, are there any other public comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Did you have
That's my cousin, so. I know, right, get going. Hear what you're saying, but no, you related to me, okay?
I don't even know her.
Most of us know it.
I might say this.
Hold on just one second. Hold on, man. Okay? All right.
But my concern, is with our turnout. And I hate that every meeting she's leaving. And my concern with our turnout is simply this. She has never brought nothing to the table for the betterment of Tallulah. Never. In all of my interaction with her, she comes with the Magnolia deal for the contracts to pay extra money to this, and that. If there's something that we think will help Tallulah, like tonight, I don't think she do it. I understand what she's saying as far as the other areas, issues, or whatever. But I think as a city attorney, when are we gonna ever start getting some advice from help Tallulah? I haven't seen it. Have not seen it. Mr. Odom said months ago that he didn't think we should pay almost $1 million or something. City attorney said pay it. We paid it. 3 months later, we saying we broke. So when are we gonna ever get some advice from our attorney, or as a council, we decide to do something that's better for Tallulah as a whole? As a whole, instead of voting off our emotions. Because a lot of things that's happening and taking place is not in the best interest of Tallulah. A lot of it. And until we start thinking Tallulah first, we're going to continue to be on the downward spiral. At the meeting yesterday with the governor, and y'all bragging about it, but the only thing I was hearing is that we need to get access to this money. The folks in Paris are saying we're looking at a 5-year plan when they only got probably 7 or 8 months. Unless there's some discussions going on that we're not aware of. And according to the law, after February, Magnolia has no control of the water, neither does Patterson have any business in Tallulah. So pretty soon, we should start looking for level 3 or level 4 certified water operators. That's what we start doing as a city. Because right now, what it seems like is that we're gonna let Magnolia stay here, Patterson stay here, and get millions of dollars. And we see none of it for the town of growth. I know companies that's not far away that can help us to stabilize our water plant. And I'm gonna bring that company forward when the contract is up with Magnolia. But I think we should start thinking as a council with a strategic plan on what we're gonna do with our water system. Because the USDA said it has to come back to us. So we need to have a plan in place. We gotta start sending out bids pretty soon for the rehab of the plant. Because when they said triaging for another year, it does not take 2 years to triage no plant. It does not. That let me know there's some money down. So we need to start coming up as a council. And I reckon when you mentioned about maintenance going down the fast route, I said we need to look at another engineering firm to start working on behalf of the city. So what I would do as an interim mayor, I say, council, let's look at some other engineering firms.
Okay, so you never asked me.
No, that's what I'm saying now. See, you're not listening. I said what I would say as the mayor, I would say to the council, I need you all to start looking up some other engineering firms.
Okay, so, but there's some things that need to be done before we go there. And I know you think you know everything, okay? I know you do.
I'm not
But
saying,
there-
that
there-
was
yeah.
a smart comment.
Yeah.
But she quick as they go.
We have a motion to adjourn.
No, I was still talking.